Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. As XRP hits a notable milestone, actually as reported in this article from You Today, where they cite XRP ledger reaches historic milestone, as this is occurring, and I'll get to that in a second, RippleNet's general manager, Ashish Birla, highlights that XRP and crypto will experience a boom in global transfers, and one can imagine what such adoption would mean for price appreciation for XRP. So I'm going to share with you some specifics from an article highlighting that so you can see what he has to say. But it's very clear that in terms of actual adoption, which will be crucial for long-term viability, XRP is heading in the right direction. And I've said many times before, any cryptocurrency that's going to have long-term viability, it only needs one use case. Now, XRP has more than one, but it needs one use case. It's just so amazing that XRP has use cases in spades, but anyway. And so, and I also have an update on Jed McCaleb, co-creator of XRP and the XRP ledger. I have an update on Jed McCaleb being almost completely out of his XRP stash. Also, I'll highlight the hypocrisy of how Ripple co-founders are treated compared to Ethereum co-founders. Guess how much ETH Ethereum co-founder Joe Lubin was gifted from the beginning. Guess what the percentage is? I'll tell you in a second. And also share with you some thoughts from attorney John Deaton on the New York Bitcoin mining ban that everyone in the industry has been discussing. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so here's a title from an article which reads as follows. RippleNet's Ashish Birla expects a boom in global crypto transfers, pushes for regulatory clarity. So I'm just going to share with you a couple of the parts that I found to be most interesting. I always appreciate getting perspective from this guy. You can tell he's a really sharp dude. Anyway, as general manager of RippleNet, Ashish Birla oversees the technology platform for Ripple that allows funds to be transferred within seconds around the world. The business, which enables transfers using its affiliated XRP digital asset, is growing rapidly, with payment volume reaching a $15 billion annualized run rate in the first quarter of 2022. Now, RippleNet's on-demand liquidity product, which allows funds transfers in 5 seconds or so, grew 8 times in the first quarter compared with the same period the year before. Now, pause, folks. We're talking about on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP. 8-fold increase, 800%, my friends. That's insane. And I'll tell you, Ashish knows what he's talking about. He's actually one of Ripple's earliest employees. He's been around for practically a decade at this point, honestly. But anyway, piece continues. A lawsuit filed against Ripple in late 2020 by the SEC, alleging that Ripple raised $1.3 billion by selling XRP in an unregistered securities offering, could wrap up in 2023, according to Birla. Now, any decision in the case will be closely watched by the crypto industry because it could determine whether other digital assets need to be registered as securities. And Ripple has maintained that XRP is a currency and is not subject to securities laws. And here's a quote from Birla. The entire crypto industry is looking at this case to set precedent, end quote. Yeah, well, you know what? It might not, because there might just be settlement. I will not be surprised to see settlement. In fact, I'm still betting on that. Based on what we've seen from Judge Netburn to this point and the rulings having to do with Hinman's emails, and we're not done with that. There's still the attorney-client privilege nonsense, which I'm not really going to get into in this video. I'm just saying, the way things look right now, I think it's more likely to see settlement because when this is all said and done, if those emails, the judge still says, yes, you absolutely have to hand them over, I don't think they're going to do it. I think the case is over, but we'll see. Anyway, piece continues. The company isn't letting the legal proceedings hurt its growth, though, according to Birla. And here's another quote from him. In terms of how it's impacted us, we are coming off record growth in our business. We are resilient as a company, end quote. Yeah, so not only is Ripple, the company, resilient, but XRP is as well. So fine, in terms of price action, yeah, it's at an artificially suppressed price, but it's still moving in tandem with the rest of the market right now. And adoption is increasing. This is exactly what you want to see if you're concerned about long-term viability. And here's another quote from him. We're all going to use crypto, not only for moving money, but for all sorts of other use cases. It's going to be embedded into our daily lives. It's going to be plugged into our iPhones. It's going to be plugged into the background to our cars. It's going to really be an enabling technology, end quote. And then in emerging markets, quote, people are getting an iPhone or a computer for the first time. And that opens a new way to send and receive money, end quote. And noting that growth of fund transfers via its platform is slower in the United States, partly because the country is largely digitized. And another reason funds transfers using XRP are growing quickly in regions such as Latin America and Asian Pacific, quote, in a lot of emerging markets, regulators have been very proactive in terms of regulating crypto, and so banks and financial institutions and fintechs feel a little bit safer from a regulatory perspective in terms of trying new technologies, end quote. And so all of this adoption is taking place as XRP has hit a historic milestone, as noted again by you today. And what is that? XRP, the ledger just keeps chugging along. They noted something, I actually pointed this out the other day. The XRP ledger has now had over 72 million ledgers closed. 72 million. It just keeps trucking along every 3 to 5 seconds. For almost a decade now. I say almost a decade. XRP's been around for 10 years now. Its birthday was on June 2nd, in case you missed that. Hopefully you didn't forget that. I mean, XRP might be offended if you did not get it a birthday gift, or at least send a happy birthday text. I mean, come on here. But it wasn't public until after that XRP was created. But we're approaching 10 years of ledgers just trucking along here. And so again, all we're seeing is it consistently works. There's more growth, more people jump in and speculate, sure, but real world adoption's taking place as well. But still, it's a little bit unfair how creators of Ripple have been treated. And you can compare this with how, for instance, Ethereum founders have been treated, especially if you understand how much ETH Joe Lubin, for example, got. And so take a look at this. There was this video clip, and it's Gary Gensler years ago before he was SEC chair. And he said the following, and this is shared by XRP community member Stefan Huber. At the Ethereum presale, Joseph Lubin received 10% of all Ethereum. Although he held an ICO, the SEC declared it sufficiently decentralized. A year ago, they changed the block rewards, and again a month ago. I think it's centralized. So that's from Gary Gensler. 10%. 10%, folks, right? That's supposed to be outrageous, right? Well, and then he wrote, this is from Stefan Huber, Buterin is the poster boy. Lubin is the real string puller. The Ethereum Foundation is just a distraction. Consensus is everything. Remember, Lubin alone received as much as the whole foundation, and Lubin called to disguise the rest. Lubin had at least 20 to 50% of all Ether. So that's why, knowing this now, I think back to this clip from a few years back. I think it was at some sort of Yahoo event. And there were several people engaging in a conversation on stage, and then there was a host on top of that, if memory serves anyway. But I remember Brad Garlinghouse sitting there, and Joe Lubin started giving Brad Garlinghouse a hard time for how much XRP Ripple holds, and they're super duper transparent about it. Meanwhile, Joe Lubin never transparent about anything regarding holdings, right? And so now we know. I didn't know this piece of information. 10% of all ETH, and he had the gall to say, well, to Brad Garlinghouse, you've got too much XRP. That's effectively what he's communicating. It's just astonishing. And then Stefan Huber tweeted out the following on this topic. He wrote, it is pathetic. Chris Larson has received 5% of all XRP. Everything was made transparent. Lubin has received 10%, double of what Larson got, and additionally called on video to disguise all major whales. Who are the criminals? And so it's just funny to see how participants in the world of crypto have treated, Chris Larson differently than Joe Lubin. Isn't it funny how that works? All you got to do is just not be transparent. Although when you take a look at Jed McCaleb's holdings of XRP, they're down quite a bit. He's almost out. He's got 187 million XRP remaining, down from several billion just, when was this? What's this date? Yeah, he had 4.3 billion June a couple years ago. So, yeah, down quite. He sold quite a bit. And he was recently selling consistently 8.6 million XRP per day. And then he cut it down to roughly 3.8 million per day. That's what he's been. I have no idea what his rationale is for changing this around. So if you take a look at how that's averaged out for the last week, then in 56 days, he's out of XRP. That's the calculation. So we're almost there, and then hopefully you can just never talk about this ever again. And then there's this from attorney John Deaton. He tweeted something from Nick Carter, who's a Bitcoin max, and he wrote, "So New York is now regulating the contents of the data center and has banned a kind of computation, SHA-256 hash functions. They're directly controlling what constitutes a valid use of power." So for those of you not in the know, New York is seeking to basically outlaw proof of work. That's what they're now. I think it's a stupid idea. I don't like government jumping in, and they're not going to solve an actual problem if they're worried about the environment. All it's going to do is just move that somewhere else, and then the economic benefit, it's still going to occur, just not within the state of New York. So it's really stupid. Here's what Attorney Deaton had to say, though. "This should never survive a constitutional challenge. We must unite to prevent the government with its conflicted officials from picking the winners from the losers, whether the attempt is made through legislative efforts or by using lawsuits as a weapon. The problem is many are okay with it as long as those efforts are made against projects they dislike. Some people against Bitcoin cheer this nonsense on. People against Ripple or XRP are okay with the SEC arguing absolute absurdity, like secondary market XRP is also a security. Government overreaching is bad no matter who it's against. Period. Until the crypto community realizes government intrusion against the project you despise is also a threat in the long term against the project you believe in, we remain the biggest threat to innovation itself." Exactly. Tribalism, folks. I'm going to keep speaking out against this, but I thought he worded this so well, it's worth giving it a share. So hopefully this doesn't come to pass, but if it does, they're still not going to stop Bitcoin. That won't. If Bitcoin fails in the open market, fine, but I don't like the government doing that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.